Hello and thank you for joining us today here at the Bramble Patch. My name is Wendy and today we have Alicia on technicals. I was really pleased to see that when I came in to make the tutorial today that we've got an absolutely stunning quilt hanging behind me. This is the new Jane Austen quilt. It's available for pre-order, ready for the end of October. So if I just move out the way, you can see this is hand-pieced with the centre machine pieced. It's as close as to the original as we could make it. It's absolutely stunning and I would be more than happy to have this in my bedroom at home. I think you'll agree it's amazing. Beautiful quilt. So today we are going to be learning how to use a Teflon sheet which comes in a pack like so. It's available at the Bramble Patch and you can see the link below to go onto the website. It's a really handy sheet. Originally these sheets were designed to stop getting bondweb on your ironing boards, your pressing mats or your iron. But in actual fact you can do far more with these than you probably realise. So I'm going to show you today how to do advanced applique, a technique that's quite close to my heart that I've used many, many times. And I'd like to share that with you, hoping that you can actually enjoy it as much as I have. So first of all, I'm just going to teach you to start off with basically how to use bondweb. So the bondweb that I've just picked a few little bits and bobs up here. There we go. Is here. So to use bondweb, all we need to do is take the image that we're working with and place the bondweb. Now bondweb has a bumpy side, which is the glue, or a smooth side, which is a bit like greaseproof paper, and actually lay it on top with the smooth side facing uppermost, and then just draw the shape that you actually would like to cut out. So I'm just going to draw on the line that I'm wanting to actually cut out. Now remember, when you are doing anything with bondweb, it is going to come out as a reverse image. So if I was to trace around my left hand, it would actually come out as your right hand. Okay, so I've just traced a very, very simple shape. Okay, I'm just going to trim this off. Now when you trim this off, do not cut on the drawn line. We need to cut so we have a margin of at least 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And I'll explain why as we go along. So I'm just trimming this off now, like so. Okay, right. When you're doing this, if you're just doing a leaf and it doesn't matter which way up, then that's fine. If we are doing it on something like this that's numbered, I would actually put the number on it and an arrow so I know which way it goes up, so there's no confusion. So I'm just going to set that little picture aside, and now I'm going to just take a piece of fabric. And we are going to press the bondweb onto the wrong side of the fabric. Do not put it on the front side. It's the wrong side of the fabric it's going on. Now, if you have previously pressed your fabric, just make sure it's cooled down before you place it on, because it will actually adhere to it very, very quickly. So I've placed that on, and if you want to select a certain area, you have that option to move it around if you want a particular design in the centre of your applique. So I've just placed that on there, and just to protect your iron, if you choose to, you can just fold the Teflon sheet over the top and just iron through it. And all I'm doing is just placing my iron on to make sure it just adheres through properly. And if you want to double check to make sure the glue's transferred right the way through, you can flip it over, and I've got the Teflon sheet on my pressing mat, and I'm just going to press it like so. Now, you do need to make sure that before you start cutting this, that you've allowed it to cool down, because it's the cooling down process that will, of the glue, that will actually stop your fabric from fraying. So once this is cooled down, this is when you then want to cut it out on your drawn line, which means then it's ready for applique. So that's how you use Bondweb to start with. So I'm just going to set that aside, and what we're going to do today is we are going to work on doing an advanced applique with this beautiful poppy. We've made it into a cushion. You can also do it as a wall hanging. I've always also made many of these, which I've put into a quilt in lots of different colours, because when I started to research the poppy, I was quite surprised actually how many different colours and shades that poppies come in. So let's move on and see how we do advanced applique. So first of all, what we need is this. The cushion that we're doing today, I'm only demonstrating today how to do the poppy. Next week there'll be another tutorial of a different technique, but at the end of that tutorial I will be showing you how to do an envelope back, which means on the cushion, no buttons, no zips, no Velcro, no ties. Really, really simple. So that will be next week. So today, you can see here, I have the plan of all the different pieces that I need to cut out. And this is the plan of the poppy. So what I'm going to do, I've already pre-cut all of my shapes, because you wouldn't want to see me just sitting here for 10 minutes cutting everything out. So I've already cut out all the shapes for all of the poppy. What I'm going to do now, I have my pressing mat here. I'm going to place the layout of the plan underneath, and I'm going to put the Teflon sheet over the top. Now this is a Teflon sheet that is designed for patchworkers, because you can actually see through it. So I'm hoping that the camera's picking up that you can see all the lines of the poppy coming straight the way through. So all we need to do now is actually attach them to this. So to start off with, I've made so many of these, I know what order they actually go in. So all you do is remember that when you take the Bondweb off the back of the fabric, do not pick away at the edges, because that will encourage it to fray. The idea is to use a pin or a needle and just score the back of the Bondweb. That way it will just literally come away like so, usually in one piece. I'm hoping you can see that. So I'm just going to pop little pieces here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the piece that I've just done with the Bondweb side down onto the Teflon sheet. Now, if I'm doing large pieces, I will actually lay another piece over the top, just to make sure that the glue from the edge of the fabric doesn't transfer onto the iron. But I made sure that all the fabric was cool before I cut it, so I know that's not going to happen. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to overlay the top of the strip onto the next piece, because with this technique, everything needs to be locked together. So we don't want any separate pieces floating around. So I've laid this, so the line is here, and I've just got that sticking under there. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to very gently touch the iron on there. And I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to score the back, remove the Bondweb like so, oops, and place it on here. And all I'm doing is I'm following the pattern on the printed piece of paper that I've got underneath the Teflon sheet. And this actually will build up very, very quickly. I've chosen to show you the poppy because it's proved very, very popular. I've been using this particular pattern for about 6 years now, and I never get bored of it. It's something that's very good and very appropriate for the time of year that we have here at the moment. So I'm just going to place that one up. And once again, I'm just making sure that all the edges, I know I'm going to put a piece of fabric straight over the top of that to anchor that on. There we go. Right, okay, so now I'm going to do these little ones at the top. I use this technique a lot, and I actually will build things up in sections. I do appliques with 200-300 pieces in it, and I build my appliques up a section at a time. So some of my appliques, I've got several applique sheets, and you can leave them on and they last for ages. In fact, here I've got some that you will see later that I prepared at the NEC, the Festival of Quilts, last year, and they are still adhered to it. Okay. Now this looks very strange as you start it, but you will see very, very quickly how it comes together. Okay. This is really good as well if you wanted to maybe do make a scene, a wall hanging, the centre of a quilt, and you can then rearrange everything on the background when you've got everything made up. So once again, score the back of the Wonder Web and it just peels off. So now I'm on to number 5. Now, if you can see here, I'm placing the petal, so it's overlapping the black line. When I do this, I do tend to cut them out on the outside of the line and not the inside, because it's best to be a little generous. And you'll see now this is going to start forming extremely quickly. Now I've got another of the stems coming up here, which I'm going to cover with this next petal. Again, cover it over. We want this to be one complete unit when we're finished. Okay. You don't have to linger too much. If you do, it doesn't matter. These Teflon sheets, they can withstand actually putting them in an oven. I wouldn't want to put it in an oven, but apparently you can. We've got number 8. And now I'll just move that a little bit, but it doesn't matter because I can just move it back. I'm going to place number 8 here, just inside. Perfect. 8. 9. Obviously, I've numbered all these, so I know exactly where I'm going with it. And they just fit inside there, just nicely. Now, I'm going to show you the very easy method at the minute, but then I will show you an advanced one in a little while. So now we've got the centre going on. So I can actually see where this goes because I've got the line that I can see through here. So I know the bottom piece is just going to protrude beyond the drawn line. So I'm placing that one there, like so. And that is the centre of the poppy. And I've done these and done them with beads and everything, and they look beautiful. And when we put this one on, it's going to close everything up and hold it together, like so, making sure all those edges and seams are covered. There we go. Okay, and on to number 12 now, which is the leaf. One of the leaves, I should say. Now, when you do the leaf, you do need to make sure that you are laying it over the stem here. It's all fitting on beautifully, like so. There we go. And again, move that slightly. Just move that back again. That's it. There we go. And that's going to sit in there. Just making sure that that bottom edge of the leaf actually covers that stem. Now the next one, we've got a light section of the leaf. Oh, wrong one. I nearly put the bonder web on there. Right, okay, so we've got the light leaf, which is going there, like so. And this, as you look at it, I've used a darker fabric on this one, and this gives the underside of the leaf. So this actually just lays over the top, and it actually looks really nice once it's quilted. Just making sure that that tip is on there, like so. Okay, we are nearly there. Now, I have purposely done some very bad cutting out, just to highlight what you can do. Now, anything on the edge here, if we're not happy with it, we can still make an adjustment with the scissors, okay? So what I've done is I've made some very bad cuts on the red pieces, which will look like the little buds coming out the top. And I'm going to purposely put these on incorrectly, okay? And I'm hoping that this will highlight how good this is. Okay, I'm going to put all those on. We've only got 5 more pieces to go on. And I'm going to do it on all of them so that you can see what I mean. Okay. Almost there. Right, now I cut those very badly. I can actually cut better than that, I promise. But I've done it to highlight the fact that you can make changes. Now, if I've put this on and I think actually I can make an amendment to that before I put anything else on, all you need to do is wait for that to cool down, then just remove it, like so, and reposition it in a better place. And it's just as adhesive as it was the first time. So now I'm going to position this one. Now when I do this, I'm covering the top of the stem and I'm placing it. Now this is where I've purposely done it wrong. That actually currently looks more like a thistle than it does a bud. And I'm going to carry on and put these last ones on. Okay, which is that one. This is the last one. Right, now I've purposely done it that way so they're cooling down whilst I'm finishing off. Okay, so again, I'm going to position that just so I can emphasize the corrections that can be made. Right, now I'm hoping that you can see, and Alicia can catch the fact that this is actually sticking out and it shouldn't be, okay? So all I want to do to correct this is actually remove it and trim it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to very, very gently ease this up. And with my scissors, which I've lost. Where have my scissors gone? There they go. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim that round so that looks more like a bud. Excuse me, I'm going to have to stand up to do this. So here you can see I've got a very large point sticking out there. So I can actually trim this around and make that into the bud that it should be. And I can do it with the same with all of these. Trim that off. And the same with this one. Just tidy that up a little bit. Okay, so now I'm quite happy with those buds. They look like buds and not thistles anymore. So the thing is now it's actually attached to the Teflon sheet. So if I hold this up, I'm hoping that you can see how it's all under and overlapped from the back. Now, obviously, this isn't a lot of good to us on the Teflon sheet because we don't want to put a Teflon sheet on our bed or on the cushion or on the wall. So all we need to do now is take this off and actually bond-a-web it to the background of the item we're going to be making. So I can take away the sheet now. And this is the piece of fabric that I selected to actually place the poppy on. So all we need to do now is actually just lift up the edges of the poppy all the way around. And it just comes off really, really easily. You can probably hear the glue peeling off as I'm doing it. And this is why you don't actually need to press it too hard because it just sticks. And I'm just going to ease these up. Oh, didn't obviously, there we go. I'm sorry if my hands are in the way, but I just want to make sure that I'm picking it all up. I've done this one because you can see it's got very thin stems on it, so trust me, if it works on this, it works on anything, and I've done many, many of these. Okay, so I finished with my Teflon sheet for the moment. So this is now what I have, and what this means now is I can position this on my background fabric before I actually glue it to it to make sure I'm happy with the layout. So all you need to do is just lay it down like so, and I could have it in the center if I wanted to. If I wanted to have it coming out of a corner, and you've got the options just to play with it to get it exactly where you want it to be. For instance, I might prefer the stems to be straight, but the head of the flower to actually be a slight angle, like so. I think I'm going to turn it a little bit and position that like so. This tends to be the way I like this one. There we go. No, I'm going to move it up a bit because that's going to be a bit close to my seam allowance. And this is the option you have using this technique. Okay, now I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to press this onto the background fabric. And just as an extra precaution to make sure you are not going to get any glue on your iron, this is when I use my Teflon sheet again. Just lay that on top of your piece of work, use your iron and stamp, 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 all the way down. And the reason I stamp rather than swipe is because to swipe it might encourage it to move a little bit, and we don't want that to happen. So I've done that, but what I'm going to do now, because there's certain layers that are on top of each other, in some areas I've got 5 or 6 layers of fabric, particularly where all my stems and my leaves cross over. So what I like to do now is take the Teflon sheet along with the background, turn it over. Now bearing in mind we've got the Teflon sheet protecting my ironing pad, and now I can actually press it right the way through the back. So this is going to encourage all of the glue at the back to adhere right the way through, like so. And then all we need to do is turn that over, and you can see that you have a poppy. And that's how we do it. There's just something else I would like to share with you that you can actually do. Again, very, very simple. So I'm just going to set that one aside for the moment, and I'll keep my Teflon sheet. So I did say to you earlier that these are what I prepared when I was at the NEC last year. Okay, and these can be put on, taken off, it doesn't matter, used as many times as you want. So what I'd like to do is just show you another little technique that I do if I want to get perfect placement in the centre of something. And I've just used Sunbonnet Sue because it just highlights how you can do it. So just across here. Where's my Sunbonnet Sue gone? Just wondering if I've got enough pieces there. No, there should be. This is what I want. This one. Not that one. This one. There we go. This is the Sunbonnet Sue. Right. Okay. So I just want to share with you how we can get perfect placement. So this is a Sunbonnet Sue that I drew out. That I've put the numbers on there, so I actually apply them in that order, okay? But I'd like to share with you how I can get a perfect placement right in the middle of something when you can't see through the Teflon sheet or the fabric. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place this inside just an ordinary sleeve that you use for a folder. And all I've done is just drew on there with a permanent marker pen, actually put in the numbers on there as well, okay? If you're using, doing something very large, then on that occasion, I would use a piece of PVC and do exactly the same thing. I've just done something recently that was 5 foot in width, so I had to do it in sections. So these weren't any good because I would have needed too many. So I just bought myself some clear PVC and done it. And because you use this, it means then you can actually do your pattern right facing or left facing. It doesn't matter which, okay? So I've already drew this. So what I'm going to do now is place my original template underneath my Teflon sheet. And here I have some that I cut out earlier. So, as you can see, I've actually put the numbers on them and put an arrow of which way it's facing, just to save confusion, because if you're doing something with feathers on birds, it's best to know which way they're going. Otherwise you think, oh, I haven't cut that out very well. Okay, so what we're going to do, somewhere here, I've got a little boot. Okay, so I've got the paper underneath my Teflon sheet, and now I'm going to press these in order. So number 1 is her boot. Number 2 is her hand, which goes over here. making sure that part of it goes underneath her dress. Okay. Number 3 just happens to be her dress, that if I keep it that way up, I know which way it goes. Like so. And this is where I become a little bit unstuck, because now we want to put number 4 on. Now, this one's not too bad because you can pretty much guess where this is going to be. But if I want to make sure that I've got it absolutely right, and this actually comes into effect if you're doing faces in particular, eyes and everything. So what I can do is now lay the clear PVC on top of the image, like so, and make sure that everything's in the right place. Take the fabric that I've removed the bondaware, just tuck it underneath and get it in exactly the right position. Like so. Okay, but do remember to remove that, because you do not want to put your iron on that because it would melt it. Okay. And give that a press. Right, so now I'm going to do the arm, which is number 5 and number 6. Now, again, I could put that on the same way and put the arm on, but again, I've cut this very badly. So what I want to do is I want to make these sections up and put on afterwards. So if I just move the Teflon sheet slightly so I can see my design underneath the Teflon sheet, I'm going to press number 5 in position. This is just on the Teflon sheet, it's not on the fabric. I'm going to take number 6 and press this onto it. And this is how you can build things up. Once you've done it, you actually realise how good this is. Now, I've cut this out really badly. So I'm going to put the arm in the correct position, but a hand is not going to fit terribly well. So that arm is perfect, apart from the fact that the pieces stick out the side because I've cut it so badly. So all I need to do now is just remove this as a whole piece. I'm just going to tidy this up. I pulled that off because it's a little bit warm. I would normally wait for it to cool down. I'm just going to tidy those edges up to make sure that it's perfect. Just trim those up like so. And now I can position her arm. So if I lay this back, I just need to position the paper with what I've already pieced on there. They're absolutely spot on. There we go. I'm going to lay my PVC on here, like so. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to tuck her arm underneath and make sure that's perfect. Press. Okay. And now I'm going to do the same with the hat. Now, okay, I'm going to, once again, I'm going to do it separately because I want to make sure everything fits nicely. I'm going to put the bonnet on. Like so. And put this one on. Peel that off. There we go. And place that on there. Oh, I'm happy with that. That's nice. If you're using a pale fabric and you're overlaying that on the darker fabric, sometimes you need to double up the fabric. So if you're using white, you might need to layer it up twice with Bonduit before, so that you don't see the underlaid fabric under it. I did an eagle many, many years ago, and I had to do his head double. Okay, so I've laid that on there. And because this is a whole piece, it's not going in the center, I can actually see that that is going to fit just nice on there, like so. Okay. And that is how you get perfect placement in the center of something without guessing it. And all we need to do then is, once it's cooled down, just lift it off. I'm hoping that if I put it back, you can see how everything's under and overlaid, like so. So that is how we get our perfect placement using the Teflon sheet. If I put a little sunbonnet sew at the edge there, you can just see those. So I hope you've enjoyed that today. Please do join us again next week, and at the end of the tutorial next week, I will be showing you how to do an envelope back to complete the cushion, or for any of the cushions that you may choose to do. Thank you for joining us. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye for now.